Channel. This is Books Nelson with the At Me Bro Show, and I wanted to give you guys a quick breakdown on the between the legs. Now, we have covered this move in other combos and stuff, but it's important to understand what this move gives you in terms of when your character has this in my team. Now, all park players are generally looking for a version of this move if they have an above 86 ball control, or not even if you don't, you can still gain the benefits from this move. In fact, it might be more important if you don't to have it. Now you can get it from Zach LaVine or Steph Curry or I believe the Pro 2 dribble package, and it's just this between the legs right here, right? So the thing about this move is that it's really fast in combos. Now when I do it right here, it doesn't look that fast, but there's two elements of it that are fast. When you combo into it and when you combo out of it. So first, let's look at comboing into it. That you guys might be familiar with from the killer crossover. That's why there's other combos you can go to it as well. But since we've covered the killer crossover, we'll just take a quick look at that. Right, so that's comboing into it, and you see you combo into that move really fast. So just to show you what that looks like when you don't have a fast version of that, I'm going to assume Isaiah Ryder doesn't have it. Yeah, it looks like he doesn't have it. You see, much slower. He does it much slower. He doesn't get into that same stance. And you see when he finishes his stance, he's not in that low crouch. Let's take a close look at it, right? Watch after he does the crossover. He's not in that super low crouch. Now watch again with Pistol Pete. And this is important. When he does that move, you see how he's in that low crouch after the combo? You see how the ball like freezes in his hand for a second? You can explode out of that move, out of that part of it. And he does it when you just do it regularly. You don't have to combo into it to get him to do that. You see every between the legs he does that. Right? That kind of low crouch. That low crouch is a signal for you to speed boost, basically. And to speed boost, you just press left stick towards the opposite shoulder. So when you have this between the legs move, your momentum dribble isn't as important, and for that matter, your behind the back isn't as important, because this move at a very low stamina cost allows you access to a speed boost right away. Right? So you can do this move and you can speed boost right away. This is very useful for behind screens, and it's also useful because it doesn't tire you out. This has a much lower stamina cost than the momentum dribble or the behind the back dribble does. So the reason that's so important is because of the combos that you can do into it and the combos you can do out of it. So we already discussed the between the killer crossover, where you combo the momentum dribble, and before that happens, you throw in between the legs, and as we discussed, you can speed boost immediately out of that. Right? That covers the entire. That's the entire killer crossover. You can speed boost out of that, which is great. But there's another way to get into that move also from the behind the back Sham God, right? So if you do this behind the back like Sham God move and you throw in a between the legs afterwards, this gives you another speed boost, which is automatically its own mix up, right? So if you just do the behind the back outright, with Pistol Pete, he doesn't have a slowdown, so you can just leap out of that move, right? So you call the screen and you can just go the other way with it, with that move. Now if you do the Sham God out of that, you can get a different timing to go the same way, right? And then you can go, but you see there's a big pause there, right? Go in that same direction. He has to kind of get it going like that. So now you add the between the legs, and you can burst out of that between the legs with basically the same, not the same exact speed, but a really good speed. Well, I would say with the same exact speed. With the same exact speed that you can do the killer crossover, you can burst in the opposite direction out of that behind the back Sham God. Right? You can go the other way with it. So this is a really nice mix-up because now you have the behind the back, which gives you the same direction. You can do the behind the back Sham God and go the same way, but it gives you that other crossover. But now you throw in the between the legs. You can go the same way off the between the legs, or you can go the opposite way off the between the legs. Now, it's not quite as fast going the same way off the between the legs, but it's fast enough to make the mix-up legitimate, right? Considering the fact that the three-way mix-up is you go right away, or you go with a timing mix-up, and you see the quick burst out of that, or you're going the other way with the explosive between the legs crossover. So that's another combo you have access to when you have a really good between the legs. Now, usually characters that have that good between the legs also have access to this double crossover move, which gives you the same speed as the killer crossover. In addition to all of that, when you do the between the legs by itself, so say you call the screen and you just go between the legs and you run, This is a nice way to get out of it very quickly. Like if I was just to press forward, there's a big delay, right? So just to tell you guys when I'm pressing forward now, right? It kind of takes a long time. Go in the same direction, pressing forward, big delay there. You go between the legs and you can quickly go in either direction at a faster pace. But because that's considered a speed boost dribble, you can immediately come back the other way with and interrupt those those animations. You can just interrupt that animation immediately. So right there, I did the snatch back. Let's try it again. There we go. And you see, you can immediately go the other direction because you're interrupting the speed boost animation. So for you guys who don't know, when you have something that's considered a speed boost animation, the speed boost animation usually, like if you look at the momentum, you see that it has a continuation there. That's your speed boost. Those animations are generally very interruptible. So with the momentum dribble, that is also interruptible with the behind the back, but it's also interruptible with a shot, right? So if I do that move and I go into that hesitation, before I go into that hesitation, you can pull up immediately. You can cancel all of those animation frames. So this between the legs similarly puts you into a speed up animation as well, that you can cancel that with a hezi by tapping up or up at an angle on the stick and shoot immediately off of that right away, canceling those animation frames entirely. But you also have access to this kind of misdirection crossover where you go back the other way, where it really looks like you're heading in one direction and you just go back the other way with the behind the back. So for this reason, certain dribbles like the momentum crossover and even the behind the back, while Pistol Pete does have a really good behind the back, they're a little less important when you have access to this strong between the legs, because this between the legs dribble gives you a lot of versatility in your move set across the board. And there's just a whole bunch of things that you can do out of that between the legs overall. And I highly recommend that you guys get a handle of that when your characters can do this to get more out of the characters. But the most prominent being, of course, the killer crossover, which you can explode out of very quickly. And then, oh, well, also, I actually almost forgot to mention, coming out of the between the legs, you can also combo into this kind of shooters between the legs, or the shooters behind the back, which you can kind of cycle behind a screen with that business. So, and again, you can, I won't say explode, but you can continue out of this dribble fairly quickly. This is a nice way to navigate behind a screen without letting your opponent know what you're doing. And because you're putting this between the legs, keep in mind, at any moment, you can use that between the legs to attack rather than to continue dancing behind the screen. So it's just another nice set of options that you have off of this between the legs dribble. Pistol Pete is a great example of having it, but if you guys see any cards that I say have the killer crossover, those cards also will have an elite version of the between the legs. So most notably, I would say Russell Westbrook, Jimmy Butler, Rudy Gay. For a very tall card to have it, Rudy Gay has it. Steph Curry has it, as well as Zach LaVine. Those guys have it. Those aren't the only cards, but those are just some of the prominent ones that have access to this attacking dribble. All right, so I hope this little mini tutorial helped you out with how to incorporate this between the legs into your game and help you become a better attacker off the dribble, because it really is something that works in all situations. And quite frankly, I don't even know if it's really explored to the level that it should be in the community, because it's a very, very versatile move that you can do a lot of things out of. Again, you can momentum out of it, you can snatch back out of it. The between the legs is just a very, very versatile dribble that, for a dribble that has low cost and stamina, gives you speed boost and allows you to go into so many things. So that's gonna cut it. I just wanted to show that to you guys real quick. This is gonna be a weapon that I will personally use a lot with Pistol Pete in various ways, and will be, for myself, looking to get better at finding situations where I can maximize that dribble, including but not limited to the regular misdirection type stuff, which is something I'm exploring a lot more these days, because it's a really, really strong move to be able to just kind of cancel your dribble immediately and go the other way. It's not something very typical of 2K to be able to, these modern 2Ks to do that. There's only a few ways to cancel your dribble and go the other way. Luckily for us Pistol Pete users, he has virtually all of them. All right. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one. I hope this was useful for all of you guys looking to expand your dribbles. And please like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for following and supporting the channel so far. This is Books Nelson with That Me Bro Show. Peace.